Good morning, everyone. This is Melissa Norgate. Welcome to Office MVP Saturday Success Strategy Session. Glad you all could make it. Today we're talking about personal brand, professional brand, and your reputation. I want to make sure everybody can hear me, so give me a second to navigate some of my device windows, and we'll be right. So it says it's live, woohoo, and checking in with everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. So can everybody hear me today? Appreciate it. I'm checking in to make sure that we're live and you are all in tune. It's a couple different ways that it's a start, but I am live, so not sure what the deal is. We should be going. Okay, here we are. Please stand by. Oh, excellent. So according to the live conversation, and I'm recording this on my own laptop as well, just my double trying to help myself. Google's a little funny and has a mixed breed. But today we're going to start with building your professional brand based on your personal brand and how that reflects on your reputation. My little mouse. Believe it or not, your reputation begins the day you're born. From the day we're born, we are building relationships. Those around us are encouraged to interact based on our behavior and adaptation. Relationships change over time, and skills are built to change the way we want to do and interact with the world based on our experience. Like a ball of glue, our reputation starts collecting impressions. Believe it or not, I'll say it again, your reputation begins the day you're born. We talked before, well, in the book, Communication Commando, it talks about the different types of personalities, sanguine and colic and a couple of the others, so you have to read the book. But it describes those, you know, I call them early stages of infancy, and we, you know, what we develop from being in our external environment when you're brought into the world, you know, love or not love, neglect or a great care, a lot of times those will create the person you are. We hope that every human being on this earth and planet who's brought into this life, you know, is loved and cared for. It's not always the case, and it's tough. You know, we have to deal with those situations as our world expands itself and our knowledge grows. But today, we're going to work with, you know, just the facts of how your reputation starts. If you're, you know, boy, if you're a colicky and, you know, kind of cranky baby, not a whole lot of people are going to want to pick you up. Or if you bite your grandpa or hit grandma, those are attributes of, glue that stick to that reputation, right? Your reputation is an impression that you make the first day that you come into this world. So as we grow, can you change your reputation? Absolutely. The beauty of being alive, every day is the first day of the rest of your life. So every day you have an opportunity to change some of the things that happen. How you do that, that's dependent upon you. What you can do is build healthy relationships. So number one, being in healthy relationships will help to strengthen a positive impression on the world around you and those people in your life. Acceptance, trust, and these two areas are very critical in building a healthy relationship, in my opinion. Again, I don't have my psychology degree or things like that, but this is what I believe, and I encourage people to understand that it's very important to build acceptance and trust. So acceptance begins with respect. If you're the new person to a group, the group has the obligation to make you feel welcome, while in return, you are obligated to respect how quickly the group builds its relationship with you and the norms within the group. So it's your obligation to learn the norms, understand the group dynamics. We'll talk about that maybe later next week. But group dynamics are very important. Trust. This is earned. Respect is the number one component of trust. When you give and show respect, you earn others' trust. When you behave as a group does, you build trust. Outside of group norms, behavior will alienate the trust factor and eliminate your opportunities to build a healthy relationship among the group. Trust comes in many forms. Actions speak louder than words. We can use the cliches because they really are true. Being trustworthy can be sought through employment, such as timeliness, follow-through, confidentiality, and more general actions like financial responsibility, material care, and human care. But there's some other factors when you build trust. You can go to the nuances, the interpersonal social actions, so gossip, the negative, right? Those are the things you want to stay away from. The backstabber, all of the negative traits that can be considered competitive, and but they are actually becoming way more to the forefront as bullying, and we'll talk about that later as well. When you've shown good conduct in accepting responsibility, you're more likely to gain the trust of other people. Absolutely. Your reputation for good conduct over time is key in building healthy relationships. You don't get more responsibility if you can't master the small tasks. So again, over time, you build that trust, and that's how you gain and advance your career. Repairing broken alliances is a way to also help your reputation, right? Learning and being able to negotiate, developing skills that are able to bridge and build broken alliances. Those are very important aspects of keeping and maintaining your relationship. If you're really good at bringing back a customer, and again, I think that's customer service, right? Repairing broken alliances. Your customer is going to leave you because they're irate that the cell service is terrible, or their internet just never works and it's always breaking up and they're getting dropped, or things like that, right? That's a relationship with your your business and your customer, and the customer service person on the other end of the phone is the individual who builds that bridge back. And when you have those skills, those are very important. So again, that's the coming in as a customer service person. When you acclimate and master those skills, that advances your career to maybe a desktop or a desk service person, and then up and up, you management, and hey, the next thing you know, you're running a company. Who knows? But that's up to you. So identifying and stating the problem, this is how you repair the broken alliances, broken relationships. Identifying and stating the problem. Was a conflict due to your negligence or another party? Was there a communication breakdown? Identifying the problem. Is it a working relationship? Accepting and acknowledging the problem. Is the relationship worth the investment? Diagnose why the alliance has broken down. Explore and understand the existing obstacles, conflicts, or tensions, and make specific plans to overcome the problems. So you need to plan, right? You're looking at the situation, is this really worth repairing? Is it my fault? How can I repair it? Maybe it's a negotiating thing where it's both parties and we have to both own responsibility. So resolving the problem, actions speak louder than words. Not repeating the negligence can lead to repairing alliance. So you're saying to the person or the operation, we're not going to let this happen again, and this is how we're going to fix it. Saying you're sorry, that relaunches a relationship, right? Just being able to say you're sorry. I didn't mean to insult you or hurt your feelings. I very much apologize. It wasn't my intent to, create any discourse, and we look forward to having you back as a customer, or maybe it's even friendship or a colleague, right? So you could have done or insulted somebody at work, and you didn't mean to. They overheard a conversation, or you making a joke, and it wasn't intentional. All of these things are part of your reputation. Rebuilding, repairing, maintaining, they're very important. So I hope again, it's analyzing whether or not a relationship is worth it or not for you to repair. So you have to dig into those scenarios. You're the only person who will know whether or not the relationship is worth repairing. This is a 3-step process. You audit the relationship and diagnose the root cause. Is a relationship worth the investment? Relationship building, planning, and agreements. Both sides explore and address the problems, the past tensions, risks, negative perceptions. So you're looking at it, what's the cause? How can I change it? I suggest you create a list for both sides, pros and cons. The customer or the other party, and then yourself, you write your list of pros and cons, they write their list of pros and cons. You bring those two sheets together and you look at the situation. You'll find common areas and you'll find disparities. And so those are the areas that you work on, are the disparities that you both agree, boy, there was a break in communication. Okay, what can we do to fix that? There was a misunderstanding. How can we align our processes so that we don't have that gap in service again? And I'm going from the employment or customer business perspective on this. Develop a process or protocol for future issues. But again, these work with people too, right? This is all about building and negotiating the terms of relationships. In the end, you formalize an agreement. Keep business from personal, right? There's going to be personal, there's going to be business. So if you're working on a business problem, but you're dealing with people, you keep that business ideal, away from anything personal. Don't let your personal feelings come into facilitating a business outcome, a positive one. In the future, I keep saying, that's my little habit. I have to work on that. Thank you. In the future, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 will happen before the next step. If an alliance is truly broken, it is best to terminate it sooner than later. This will reduce cost and expenditure of the investment. That includes yourself. So we're talking about, business or employment as well as personal relationships. I think they go hand in hand. We're human beings. So dissolving toxic relationships. What is a toxic relationship? This could be business as well, right? So you're a business, you've invested a lot of money, things aren't going well, and the service of the investment that you've made, and you're looking for another vendor. So, that could be part of the plan, is that they're not working up to your expectations. That can also work with personal relationships. Toxic relationships bring a lot of health issues into our personal lives, and so I think resolving those areas of your life are very important. What is a toxic relationship? According to Wikipedia, which I love Wikipedia, they do a good job, like the dictionary, about defining different areas or words. So, psychological abuse, also referred to as emotional abuse or mental abuse. It's a form of abuse characterized by a person subjecting or exposing another to behavior that may result in psychological trauma, including anxiety, chronic depression, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Such abuse is often associated with situations of power imbalance, such as abusive relationships, bullying, and abuse in the workplace. I've put a couple links in here in the PowerPoint presentation. I will put up on OfficeMVPs.com website where you can download it. It won't be available here, but the replay tape will, so we'll have that. Dissolving toxic relationships and emotional intelligence. So according to Hutchinson and Hurley in 2013, they make the case that emotional intelligence and leadership skills are both necessary to bullying intervention in the workplace, and illustrates the relationship between the emotional intelligence, leadership, and reductions in bullying. So we've talked about that, right, in April, that emotional intelligence and ethical behavior reduce the significant impact on bullying, and they've proven, by research and science that they're looking at these things, that when there's a higher emotional intelligence, it's linked to improvements in the work environment and important for moderator between conflicts. So the self-awareness component are correlated to effective leadership. So you can see that, and you can look this up too. Again, you can go look these resources up that I have. Dissolving toxic relationships and identifying types: the blamer, the drainer, the shamer, the discounter, the gossip. If you have these at work, they're really negative. In your personal life, you'll have to deal with that, right? Those are very significant too, though. They could play on your relationships at work. So being able to identify these kinds of behaviors are very important in constructing healthy relationships, decreasing the toxicity in your relationships, building your reputation. Do you really want to be a reputable as a bully, or would you rather be a conflict resolution artist? a negotiator, and with a good awareness and emotional intelligence. I prefer that myself. However, again, none of us come in or go out being a pro. We all learn, and this is what this is all about, is to understand and be aware, become aware of what's available and things that might be holding you back, obstacles, and then keeping that reputation, in a stellar view so that you can advance your career. You don't want to be a gossip artist. That's very negative. It doesn't do anyone any good. It's really in bad taste. We might see the media and all of that on the newspapers, but at work or in your personal life, it's very destructive. So I hope that people will, pull themselves up and refrain from doing these things, because it only damages yourself. You alienate yourself from really positive, successful circles, because a lot of people who are happy and healthy don't do that. They don't have energy or time to participate in those kind of behaviors. Dissolving toxic relationships. To determine whether a relationship drains or fuels you, you have to ask yourself the following questions. Write down the name of the person in your life or your work environment. Am I able to be myself with this person? Do I feel accepted by him or her? These are clear, defined signs. If you say yes or no, boy, there's a problem. Is this person critical or judgmental of me? Does the relationship provide an even give and take exchange of energy? Do I feel upbeat and energized when I'm around this person, or depleted and drained? Does this person share my values, my level of integrity? Is this person committed to our relationship? Can this person celebrate my success? Do I feel good about myself when I'm with this person? So all these simple questions, again, you could do your pros and cons and ask go through your relationship and look at these different areas. Again, reputation is, they say, boy, the smoking gun, who you're hanging out with, so pick your friends wisely, and if you can manage to negotiate a good friendship and build that, then you're going to have a good reputation. If you can't, you can't change other people, but if they're willing to come to the table and negotiate with you on behaving in an appropriate way that's conducive to everybody's health, that's really good. That's what you want to reach for. Otherwise, you got to walk away. If it's negative, maybe you're the negative person that's draining them. Yeah, it works both ways, right? Life is a two-way street. So maybe one person's perception is, well, you're really dragging me down because, I feel like you're not appreciating who I am. But you might see them as like, well, your lifestyle really doesn't agree with who I am as a person. So therefore, that the values are inconsistent, and that's where you might have your differences. Doesn't mean that either person is a bad person. It just means that your lifestyles are not the same. You wouldn't behave a certain way where somebody does, or the other person does, right? I could give you my sordid details, but I'm sure you all have your own stories and examples of times where either you could negotiate and you won, or you couldn't negotiate and you had to walk away. So here's these toxic relationships. Also, Cheryl Richardson's book, Take Time for Your Life. That's from the Oprah Winfrey. I would suggest reading that book. So I think all these things are helpful. And again, the PowerPoint slide, you'll be able to get this information on our website. Okay, you're done, right? Listen to your body. Don't stay stuck. No excuses. And make the change. Be brave. So we'll go into how to tactfully decline unreasonable requests. I think that kind of plays into relationships, your reputation, and toxicity. So, if people have unreasonable requests, that could be one of the sources of having a toxic relationship. However, people just randomly ask you to do crazy things, and you just have to know how to say no. That's not really what that's not what I signed up for, and you have to be tactful about it. So what is tact? You think before you speak. Tact's the ability to tell the truth in a way that considers people's feelings and reactions. It allows you to give difficult feedback, communicate sensitive information, and say the thing to preserve a relationship. So, again, is it worth the relationship, or should I just let it go? You might not be as tactful if it was a relationship you really thought needed to go away, to be ended. Tact encompasses many things, including emotional intelligence, respect, discretion, self-awareness, thoughtfulness, compassion, subtlety, honesty, diplomacy, and courtesy. Not everybody's born with this. Again, these take skills. So if I were to give advice and help people through some of this, I would take every one of those words and I would go look in the dictionary. What does that word mean, and how can I be better at it? I think for myself, I was very fortunate. I came from very dignified kinds of people who, my grandmothers, from a very young, early age, I love my grandmas, and they taught me a great deal. So we learn, number one, from our latest generations, and we try to pass that on. But you learn through instruction and self-reflection, and then going and doing this on your own. So a lot of work comes from just being inquisitive and driving your own self to be a better person in the world. So you can go look at some articles. I picked one here. It's mindtools.com, and the link is in the PowerPoint, which will be on our site at officemvps.com. Tact is influenced by culture. One culture may be open and honest, and another believes honesty is rude and disrespectful. So you have to evaluate, what the circumstances are that you are in to deliver the message about your communication. You want to preserve the relationship. So you have to understand what cultural norms are, who you're speaking with, that's going to reflect a tactful response. So just say no. Saying no can have consequences. Be wise when you choose to say no. This can be directed at yourself or others. If it makes you uncomfortable, just say no. If it puts you at risk, just say no. If it's threatening, just say no. If it's illegal, just say no. If you cannot do it, just say no. If it is unnegotiable, just say no. As a human being, you have the right to say no. If you are in danger, call the authorities. So we're going to go back a little bit to, I'm going to go back one slide again really quick for, how to tactfully decline unreasonable requests. So, and I've had some kind of funny ones. Again, you guys probably have your own scenarios and stories to tell and personal experiences of things. Sometimes we do things because we know somebody needs our help, right? And you're like, it's not a big deal. Maybe another time it would be. I'm like, okay, I'm 20 years old, I'm healthy, and and a little old man has asked me to help, that I'm working for is asking me to help move stuff, I'm like, it's not a big deal. I can do that. I'm at later in my age. I'm not saying tomorrow's my birthday, so I likely wouldn't be moving furniture. I actually was, had a temp situation. Can you fill in and do this? And it was supposed to be a front reception job, and it turned out we were moving furniture all over to these virtual offices. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, I would have had my brat brace. I mean, there would just have been a lot more preparation. That's just not a job description that I was comfortable with. So I was glad, I didn't go back, and I did let the agency know, and I would be more prepared if that were, given an up front that those were the tasks that I would have had to perform. So anyway, just say no, I can't do this, or find a way that makes it more. Do they have those movie things on the on the bottoms of chairs and tables and so forth? So anyway, and then let's see. I'm trying to think of another situation where you might have to say no. Just plain old simple. Can you go out to breakfast or lunch, dinner? Nope. I've got such and such recitals, and the kid's sick, and so. So, but do it with people's feelings. Oh, I'd really love to, but I can't. Jennifer's sick tonight, and I need to watch her temperature. Or Johnny fell, oh my gosh, I really appreciate you offering. However, John fell off his bike, and we need to, check him for a concussion. So I appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you later. Thank you so much for inviting us. You can go on and on, right? It's just having a sensitivity for the moment. You might just have to say no. Boy, I can't do that, and that is against my values and principles and ethics. So no is a good way to say it. They get the point across. Sometimes you just have to leave that the nicey nice stuff alone. So I appreciate you guys listening, and we'll go on to slide when to leave a job. I think, as you've seen in these slides, we're developing this kind of scenario of, maybe that things aren't as cherry as chum as they look. And how do I deal with being able to navigate the uncomfortable waters and still come out with a great reputation? That is the key end I want you to take away from this. Going through positive, negative things and leaving with a great reputation. When you need to leave a job, you are the only and the best person to decide when to leave a job. Some job separations are mandatory, others are not. When you choose to leave your job, plan ahead. Investigate your options before leaving. Have a new opportunity lined up. Examine how you will care for yourself and or your family if you decide to leave a job. Make sure you have a financial plan before you leave a job. Read through the main articles that can help you understand when it's time to leave your job. Again, some links for you to research when you have time. How to gracefully resign. So you've come to the end, you're closing, the door, and you've decided, yeah, it's time to move on for whatever reasons, right? It could be negative, positive, but you're going to leave with a positive light. So make sure you really want to leave your company before following through. Create your resignation before you tell anyone you're leaving the company. Keep your letter short and to the point. Details will only leave a bad impression. Tell your hiring manager first before you tell anyone else, and in person if possible. Do not mention your new employer. It is considered very unprofessional. Give a 2 weeks notice. Giving a 2 weeks notice is standard. Don't burn your bridges unless you absolutely must quit, right? There's always an exception. But the exception to the rule is you always leave with a 2 weeks notice as a standard. Be available for calls during any transition and briefly afterwards. Ask for a reference. Make use of your career connections by staying in touch with past employers. Make sure to follow up. Traditionally, it's 6 months with the thank you notes and remembrances. Maybe it's his birthday, or somebody had a baby and you noticed in your connections that, wow, you just really want to congratulate them and see how everything's going. LinkedIn kind of has, because they opened up that door, it's helped bring past bosses that I had that I just adored working for, and really great experiences. And they gave me responsibility that built my confidence, and so those were very important relationships for me. And I really appreciate them being in my employment network, my business network. So to finish off, the key is, in relationships, leave them breathless. Aloha. I hope you have a great afternoon. And again, the replay will be on the Google site, our Office MVP's Google site. The PowerPoint slides will be at the officemvps.com membership site if you would like to download them there. I appreciate your time, and if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to email me or leave them in the boxes on the Google Hangout. Feel free to give some of your experiences. This is a two-way street, and I appreciate having all of you in my circle of influence, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Aloha.